Heyo, duckies and dice fiends, welcome in. It is the chaotic, wholesome talk show. I am Kay, at least I think I am. I don't know. It's been a time. We will figure it the heck out. I am here with my incredible co-host David, who I believe is over here. David, who the heck is you, and what the heck is we doing here?
I am having internet issues, and I will throw rocks until the problem is solved. But hi, I'm David. This is the Chaotic Wholesome presents. We're gonna completely derail and talk about guitars the whole time talk show, where every week we talk about TTRPG stuff, how to be a better player, how to be a better person, how to be a better GM, all with a focus on intersectionality and inclusivity, so that everybody can have a good time.
And this is the part where I tend to talk about like what we're doing, but like what are we doing? We're not streaming Baldur's Gate this week on Thursday because it's 4th of July, and Kay's gonna be watching fireworks with friends because we gotta celebrate America's birthday, which is actually mostly gonna be like
Yeah.
Y'all got issues down there.
We do. Hello, Ilaria. Welcome in. Thank you so much for the resub. 5 months already? Bananas. We will be streaming Friday, however, if David is up for it.
Yeah, we'll be streaming.
And y'all, I gotta find it. I'm sorry. I swear we'll get on topic. I just got Cornucopia. It's a farming game.
Oh,
and
I'm a Stardew Valley simp, I will say.
You are in good company.
Okay.
Right.
It is obscene the amount of hours that David and I have logged.
Ooh, so many.
Between us. Hey,
Every
DC,
hour.
welcome on in. My captions aren't working. Well, start.
Sure.
See if are my captions behaving now? Maybe?
I can see them on the stream.
Okay.
Oh, no, sorry, I
Nope.
only see myself in full rubber ducky.
Yeah. Why? What? I wonder if... I muted my captions so that when we did the charity games, no one would see my muttering when everything broke.
Aha.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Hey.
I am glad that I'm not the only one who was like, oh man, the charity streams went great. Job's done. And then there were one or two things that needed to be changed between them.
It was the tiniest blip. Do not even worry about it. I wouldn't have even brought it up to you, except I knew that you would want to know, so it wouldn't happen in the future.
Well, I just mean like the pixel chat that I forgot to switch over.
Oh, yeah.
And there was another thing that I forgot to switch over. But anyway, doesn't matter.
But
it wouldn't be one of our streams without tech issues.
At some point, I'm going to be streaming Cornucopia, which is a pixel art farming game. It's in beta right now, and I can't wait. Fun employment is finally going to be fun. But outside of that, like I've got stuff coming, but I can't talk about it yet.
I feel that in my bones.
Right? It hurts. There's cool stuff coming. A lot of it's already being recorded, but I can't share it yet. So that's enough about us, because that's not what we're here for today. James, who the heck is you, and why are you so cool that you're here?
You know, that's a question that has been pondered since the dawn of time. and it was absolutely, who the heck is James, and what the heck is he do? You know, my name's James Keller. I run Legends of Logomancy. We're a group of Canadian creators based out of Calgary, Alberta. I look after Make-A-Wish International's TTRPG arm. And we essentially have looked after the majority of TTRPG-based initiatives for the last 3 going on 4 years now. Whether it's charity fundraising, whether it's doing promotional stuff, like I heart Make-A-Wish, and they seem to heart me because they keep having us come back. So,
that is so awesome.
You may have seen my loving face before on the Roll for Beer podcast, which we run bi-weekly, myself and my co-host Allison, where we interview, much in the same sort of theme as this, really cool people on the internet doing really cool things, and we sit down. Mine has beer, so I'm biased in thinking that it's ultimately superior to everything else, because I get to drink beer on the internet and call it a job, and like, I can't not love that.
That's pretty great. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, ooh, this would be really cool. I would love to be on that. Except I don't like beer.
So we've done
Suffer.
roll for whiskey. We've done roll.
Now that I could do.
We've also done roll for juice box.
Mm.
Well, I'm not going to exclude anybody because of their dietary restrictions.
I am well known in my friend groups because it was just recently my birthday, and I had 3 friend groups come over, or 3, like, not just individuals, but one of them was a couple, 3 friend groups come over for a birthday party. And when they left, I had 4 new bottles of whiskey. So I am known.
We recently discovered, my dad and I, a new family favorite.
Oh.
And he's one of those, like, in his 70s, small town redneck white dudes that really likes Gibson's Finest and has for like 40 plus years, 50 plus years. And he's like, that's my whiskey. And I gave him a bottle of Bushmills Black Bush. And it's like a $40 bottle of whiskey. Like, it's, and he's like, this is really good. Like this is really good. And it's become a staple. It's cheap and it tastes good. It's everything I need in a whiskey.
Right. David and I have had many discussions about wine. And it's like, I've had some incredible bottles of wine, but I kind of often, I want the $10 bottle.
I buy it for the label.
Can have it with my friends, right? I don't want a $50, $75, $100 bottle that's going to sit there and I have to save for a special occasion. I want to be like, friends are here, we're opening a bottle, open another if we need it, right? I want that. Yeah.
I got a bottle of Lagavulin when I got married.
Which one?
And the 16.
Oh, look, that's nice. Yeah. That's really nice.
And it's my favorite Scotch. I'm a Scotch guy. And we sat and we drank the whole thing amongst friends in like that day.
Yeah.
And because I'm not going to hang on to this much of it in my liquor cabinet.
Right.
And my wife doesn't drink whiskey, so it's not a thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I may not look like it, but I have had hundreds upon hundreds of bottles of, not just bottles, but different bottles of wine. And I can tell you with confidence that I've had precisely 3 bottles of wine over $100 where I took a sip and went, oh, this is worth the price.
Yeah.
Like, if you're paying more than $100 for $100 US, because any other money in the world is monopoly. That's stupid. That's Americans. But yeah, if it's more than $100, then like you're trying to impress somebody. You're not trying to drink wine, and I'm here to drink wine.
David, you say this with such conviction, but realistically, are we talking about wine or guitars? Because the diminishing returns when guitars start getting over a certain price point, like you look at something like a Les Paul, and once you're past like a Les Paul Studio is what's gigged on most stages across the world, right? And they're about $1,000 or so. Anything beyond that, it's not because it sounds better, it's because it has a history to it, and it's all diminishing returns. Wine's the same. It doesn't taste better. It's just a cool story you tell yourself.
It's funny because I was just going to say, I have not heard a guitar over $1,200 that was worth the money.
Yeah, exactly. Like around that price point, right? Yeah. Like there's certain things that you can get into, like with some of the PRSs and that are around that price point. And then, for the uninitiated, David and I were talking guitars before we went live. It's a thing. I have a handful of them. My wife says I have too many.
Rex says, I love Spectre Sound Studios for guitar reviews. That guy does not hold anything sacred.
Glenn is amazing. Yes. He releases his videos like right early in the morning though. And I don't like waking up and being yelled at immediately. It's just not a thing.
So I am not a big beer person, but I have a lot of really geeky friends who really like beer. And when I tell you, I've had 2 bottles of this because they were gifts and people wanted to try them, but I never, because everyone was sharing, I didn't need to open mine. It's probably bad. I don't know how long beer lasts, but I have Woot Stout 2.0,
Oh, I love it.
which is a beer made by Drew Curtis, Aisha Tyler, and Will Wheaton, and the artist is the artist who did the Walking Dead comics.
I
was about to say, I was
wouldn't
like, is
drink
that
that.
Aisha Tyler? Well, how
Uh-huh.
old is it?
I mean,
I was gonna say.
I was still working at DeviantArt, so
Oh, don't.
at least
Don't drink
5 or
that.
6
That
years.
gets to sit on the shelf and
no,
look cool.
no, this sits with my Nuka-Cola. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
get drank; it just sits there and looks pretty.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, no.
Also, continue.
I was gonna say, my drink of choice lately is sitting behind me over there on the shelf, and it's Dr. Ramshackle's old fashioned juice that makes you explode. Was a key aspect of our fundraising technique for fundraising for the Transpowerment Project. So what I did is I took 4 bottles of Everclear grain alcohol, so it's 95%. I mixed a dozen Carolina Reapers into it, a dozen ice cream vanilla Trinidad Moruga scorpion peppers, a dozen cherry ghost peppers, a dozen orange habanero peppers, and then a dozen vanilla beans for sweetness and silkiness. And because every one of those peppers gives you a different heat experience, like Reapers are right up here, ghost chilies are like kind of a goosebumps here, and it's very smooth. And we raised $1,700 by including little Tiltify things like, if you donate $50, I'll take a drink of it. And people are like, yes, paying on the internet more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know I don't sound it unless I turn it on, but I am from Texas, so I have tried a lot of those peppers, and I do not want those in my grain alcohol. Thank you very much.
That is totally fair. It is pain shine.
And for anyone watching, 2 things. One, I'm not one of those people that has like done all the things and like is an authority on everything. I'm just fortunate enough to have met a lot of cool people doing a lot of cool things over the years. 2, I ostensibly have cheap tastes. So when I say, hey, $100 for a wine, like take that with a grain of salt, because my favorite beer is like $12 for a 12-pack. And if my favorite bourbon is only available at $26, I walk out of the store and throw rocks at the window because they shouldn't be charging that goddamn much for my cheap ass favorite bourbon. So
that sounds about right.
Like, jot that down before you take what I'm saying with a grain of salt.
No, what bourbon is it?
So me, my father, my uncle, and my grandfather all enjoy the Old Granddad 100 proof. Now, the 86 is awful because it's too harsh, and the 121 is too smooth, which sounds weird, but buy a bottle, crack it open, try it. But the 100 is a nice juxtaposition between, like, you get like bite and you get like flavor. And there's a like $70 bottle of bourbon that's made from the same mash that I can't remember the name of, made by the same company. That's my second favorite. I'd argue it's a little too light, but it's great for making like and I know it sounds sacrilegious to make a cocktail with a $70 bourbon, but it is the second best mint julep that you will have west of the Mississippi.
I love it. It doesn't sound weird to be mixing with bourbon. If you had said scotch, I would be
no,
right.
You don't mix scotch. What do you mix scotch with? You mix scotch with scotch.
Well, you could look, if you're gonna be if you're gonna be really adventurous, you can mix it with an ice cube, because that'll enhance the sweetness of it just a little bit versus using like whiskey stones. But yes, you mix scotch with more scotch, potentially with a glass. Like, that's about it.
Basil Hayden, that's the name of the one. Basil Hayden. If you can get it for under $50, buy it. It's like Maker's Mark, but better. It does all the things that Maker's Mark does, but Maker's Mark isn't too right. But like Maker's Mark is like the Oban of scotches, where it's like, somebody likes bourbon, but you don't know what so you get them a bottle of Maker's Mark.
That's That's
Baker's
like
is great for I just need it around the house. It's not for a fancy. It's just when I need it, it's there.
I keep a bottle of Monkey Shoulder in the cupboard, specifically because I got to have a bottle of the first cask that was ever made when it was still a triple malt Scotch, and that's long since gone. I held on to that one for a couple of years, but kept the bottle. Or Crown Royal. If somebody's a whiskey drinker, we keep Crown in the house because it is the single most popular whiskey on the planet.
And it makes great dice
by
battles.
everything is great. And Johnny Walker is swill and should never be consumed by anyone.
The only thing Johnny Walker, anything lower than Johnny Walker Blue should be used for cleaning engine parts. That's it.
I mean, I've had some really expensive Johnny Walker, and it's no better. Like
it's not worth the money, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not terrible.
Oh,
you can do better at half the price.
Yeah, it's drinkable, but Bushmills exists.
San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah.
This was long enough ago where we still liked Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Like it was starting to, but it wasn't there yet.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Walker took over a place and did a Game of Thrones whiskey. They had Song of Ice and Song of Fire.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get people into it because it's like afternoon at San Diego Comic-Con. It's not even 5 o'clock yet. And they're like, we really
like
need
90
people.
degrees out. Yeah.
So, like, I get a press invite to it and I go in and it's air conditioned, right? And they have like the fire one over here and the ice one over here. And the ice one was hardly any flavor. It was too smooth. Fire one it wasn't Fireball, but it had a little bit of cinnamon to it.
It's like Bullet.
Yeah, it was. I'm like, this one I can do, right? So I go in and you go and you get your little sippy sips, and I have some pins somewhere from it. I have a Johnny Walker pin. That's the only reason I have it. And I'm like, oh, this is, and they're like, yeah, you can hang out. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, and I'm just kind of, and I'm chatting up to someone and they're like, do you want more? And they just start sliding me shots. And I'm like, I mean, they're like shots this big, right? But I'm like 3 in, so that's like a basic shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, yeah, we expected a lot more people and no one's here. And I'm like, do you need people? And they're like, why? And I'm like, I have a phone full of people at this convention. And if I tell them free whiskey at location, people are going to show up.
You're going to be overrun.
And so, yeah, I got a lot of free shots at San Diego Comic-Con. Johnny Walker, which was, again, it was consumable. It was fine for a San Diego Comic-Con afternoon.
Should you ever
priced correctly?
Yes.
Should you ever find yourself in Calgary, there's a thing here called Grape Escape, and it's about $60-ish a ticket Canadian. So like 2 nickels and a wooden half nickel in American dollars.
Right.
But you walk in, you have your ticket, they hand you a little coupon book, they park food trucks inside the building all along each of the walls.
Ooh.
And they hand you a coupon book, and every page is like free tacos, free almonds hitting a tray, free like whatever. And they hand you a glass. You walk up to the first booth and they say, these are our 7 artisanal scotches of this season. Which one would you like first? And then you go to the next booth and that's like, these are our 7 artisanal vodkas of the season. Which one would you like first? And there are hundreds of tables. And
do they have stretchers?
They bring in extra benches for people to go
Yeah,
Right?
good time. That's a clip on the internet now. I'm certain of it. But yeah,
I went to grab my bag of pins to see if I could find the really cool pins that I got from there, and then I spilled all my pin backs all over. So if anyone heard that and what sounded like an ad,
I did.
yeah, that was.
they did. I promise.
That was. This was full.
Oh no, that's
Fortunately-
so much.
Mostly in my dice tray, so we're mostly okay.
Okay, that's good, but still.
Mostly. But yes, we have. Look, I can talk booze all day. I used to run a fandom cocktail blog.
Mhm.
I could talk booze all day, but we got some other stuff to talk about.
We can talk about that on Roll for Beer later with the 2 of you. Invite extended.
I
Oh,
mean,
we appreciate it.
that's a difficult thing to turn down.
I will drink 2 beers. One for me, one for Kay.
That's fair. Or
There
we
we
can
go.
just do roll for whiskey.
This is
Aw.
the Song of Ice, Johnny Walker.
I
Oh,
see.
that's cool.
And
I love it.
I will say it is a soft enamel, and soft enamel is the superior enamel pen. Hard enamel can bite me.
And plastic pins are terrible.
Yes.
I've got a box of them over there that are, we were trying out different merch, like samples and stuff. And I'm like,
Mhm.
these are all rubbish. And they're all falling apart.
Yes, and any pen with a plastic back is rubbish, which is why I had this entire bag of locking backs, because when I lose a pen, life is over. I have David knows, but for those
Oh
who
man,
don't,
the heartbreak.
Yeah.
this is the overflow pins. This entire box is just overflow pins. I have an entire tapestry of nothing but pins on that wall.
That's what Loctite's for.
Problem.
Like the red Loctite, you put a little drop into the pin, put it on your apparel that you never want it to come off.
But that's
Great.
the problem is I switch them out.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
And I've been at a convention with Kay where Kay has been like, this one, where did this one go? Oh no.
It is.
Though it's also like there have been a couple of times where like the back has fallen off.
Mhm.
And so like it'll still be sitting there, and then Kay will be like, why is this one loose? Be like, where the fuck did the back go? How did the back get knocked? And that one's way funnier because it's not like, oh my god, I lost a pin that I actually like gave a shit about.
What about like neodymium magnets that you just like super glue to the pin and then just like, because you got to work to pull them apart. I mean,
Maybe. I'm willing to experiment with one of my not most beloved pins.
they said on the internet.
Right.
Yeah, the ace is willing to experiment.
Funny how that works.
Yeah. Pride's over, y'all. We all got to be straight now.
I'm just
sure as fuck
sad
hope
that
not.
the overlay cuts off my
Yeah.
cuts off my pride flag. It's hanging up by the Canadian
Yeah,
flag.
it's
way
just
above.
right above.
Yeah.
He showed us
I,
like before we went live.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm refusing to take down my. I also have these banners all in my main room too. I'm like, those will come down after the 4th. We're gonna be clear through the 4th.
You know, Calgary Pride is August 31st to September 1st. Because we had our own Stonewall event up here, and that's when Pride is for us. So
That makes sense.
totally a thing.
Yeah.
And it's not hot as balls.
Yeah.
Hi, Babcom. Welcome on in. But yes, yeah, my therapist said that she forgot what day it was and went into the city during Pride in New York, and literally could not cross the street. Is wild out there. Look,
you're in
Rex,
LA
we don't talk about my chassis.
I was gonna say it interferes with your combat chassis, but I won't.
Right.
I'll leave it alone.
If you want to ruin someone's day, and I did this by mistake, during Pride in Los Angeles, order a delivery from something north of Santa Monica to south of Santa Monica, or vice versa. And if you're feeling particularly spicy, because at the time there was a burger place, but there was a burger place that was taking orders, like delivery orders on like during the Pride parade.
Mhm.
You will the only place where you will get angrier messages is like a like anti-racist message on like one of those boards that you're not supposed to be on. Like the only
Yeah.
way you're going to get more hate is if you show up as a loving person on 4chan. Like that's the only worst place.
You get a message on Skip the Dishes back to your phone that just says, fuck no.
Yeah.
No tacos for you.
Yeah.
But to bring
But-
things back, and it's usually
Yeah.
Kay who brings things back. But
But David
It's
is
okay.
if it's
taking the
my
reins today.
turn,
I'm impressed.
but you talked a little bit in your introduction about Make-A-Wish and John Cena, but we're gonna talk more about the Trans Empowerment Project.
Absolutely. So we, for the entire month of June and a little bit of May, I abandoned my family to lock myself in the basement and fundraise using TTRPGs for like a month and a half solid.
Wow.
And my partner is amazingly loving and hasn't murdered me for it, which is amazing. We got together with a bunch of different channels and groups. Sarah Roberts, the Hype Goblin, was the one that turned me onto it. She had ended up having her own team for fundraising. We ended up raising just a little over $1,700. That bought a whole bunch of extra one shots, beach wedding episodes and things like that for all of our Thirsty Sword lesbian games, that sort of thing. I got to meet some really, really cool BIPOC creators that I've never had the opportunity to work with before, just because we tend to circle different spaces at this point, but no longer, because now we're all one big happy family. Life is good. And if you go on Twitch under twitch.tv/Legends of Logomancy, which is probably in the doobly-doo somewhere, you can see the interview that we had sitting down with Jack Knoxville from the Trans Empowerment Project, the founder and CEO. And we talked about his journey, being the first trans individual to run for public office in the United States, and had a couple of beers, had a good time. So it's worth a watch, if nothing else.
Yeah.
I have not edited the podcast version for it on Spotify yet because it's sitting in my doom pile of editing to-dos.
I'm so familiar with that
are you saying that did you have a backlog of things that you need to edit? Like no one here is familiar with that at all.
No, not in the slightest.
I cannot make the sweating rubber ducky emote hard enough at that.
Right.
We have an entire season of a TTRPG, y'all, that has been recorded for more than half a year now, and I still haven't finished the first episode, and I hate myself.
That's because
Hey, Matt.
look, we've had. Did you forget the number of games that we've had over the past month?
Look.
And all
But
the
even
organization
before
and
that.
stuff.
Even before that.
And let's talk.
This
let's
isn't
talk getting
about
body
us.
and
This
soul
is
up there.
about the trans empowerment. No.
It is pro tip. The TTRPG actual plays, editing them into podcast format. I totally just skipped all of that. I edit the podcast, and any if we're doing brewery tours or anything for Roll for Beer, I'll edit those in. But the actual weekly, because we cycle cast and cycle system so much on our regular shows, I've got a different table every 4 weeks generally, playing a different system, and there's only so much time. So I throw it to YouTube, and if folks want to watch a backlog or learn how to play, we did the Girl by Moonlight beta tests when it was on Kickstarter originally.
Yeah.
Had a magical girl theme song, our version of our channel theme done up for it.
Oh.
And it was a good time. And it teaches people how to play Girl by Moonlight in 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So
I got to do 2 seasons of a Girl by Moonlight game.
amazing.
Which was wild.
Which one did you do? Which setting? Because
well, we had whatever the basic magical girl one was what we all voted for.
well, the book has the three.
Whatever the base, because there's the regular, and then there's
the mech one.
The mech one, and then there's Under the Rotting Skies. Yeah. And we all voted for the first one, but the GM really wanted to Under the Rotting Skies, so it kept drifting that way.
Yeah.
He kept feeling it being we're
experience pain and sorrow and sadness.
We're cool with this. We like the angst, but you got to give us some time to process the angst you already thrown at us, because
I combined all 3 of them.
Mhm.
So we did they're in mechs called epics, and every one of them is based on a that one's piloting Sun Wukong, that one's piloting Gilgamesh, that one's piloting the
That's
Wizard
cool.
of Oz. And everything that was a literary epic became this giant mech thing. And they stepped out of time and went 65 million years in the past into a bubble in time because the gods were pissed off at them and were chasing humanity through time. So it was a good time. They were all idols.
Yeah.
Everything was live broadcast to the populace about how they were fighting to save humanity, and they had to look good while doing it in post.
Mhm.
Thing.
Amazing.
Background music applied.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, editing hell, 100%.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the one that I have not edited yet is podcast only.
Yeah.
Which makes it really hard to put out a podcast when you haven't edited it.
So what we ended up doing for fundraising for the Trans Empowerment Project at Logomancy, the format that we have is if you want to be a player, you fill out an intake that says, hey, this is who I am, and here's my content sensitivities and all of my about me.
Mhm.
And we have a green room on the Discord that all of our pitches get posted to. So if somebody comes and says, hey, I want to run, this new TTRPG I found, I say, cool, put it in a pitch. It goes up and it says, hey, I want to run Ryutama, a JRPG, TTRPG. This is the story. These are the players I'm looking for. And then I'll do the producing, all the production work for it. Very rarely for the showcase show will we use any kind of character art because I can't draw, and none of my immediate friends have the time to do so in a quick turnaround for stuff. So we only use character art for the long running campaigns, like our Wednesday Wild West sort of shenanigans. But yeah, we get people on, they apply. I'll look at it and say, if 4 people apply, those are the 4 people that are going to play the game. And if more than 4 people apply, we'll go through everybody's intake and be like, all right, let's not have 4 people that necessarily look like James on screen anytime that we have the ability to do so. So, because it's kind of weird to say, one of my business partners is the token person in our player pool because he is the only straight white person
Good.
out of 60 plus people. Yeah, pride forever. I've been out like 25 years. The other day I did the math. Yeah, there it is. From a very small town full of coal miners. It's a thing.
Yeah. Ace queer as fuck from tiny Bible Belt town in Texas. So feel ya.
Yeah.
There was a lot of unlearning to do.
Pan queer as fuck. Used to go as bi, and then a couple of years ago, language evolves, and I'm like, but I like more than 2 kinds of butts. Therefore, blah. I've got the neurospicy backing up my feelings of, okay, no, this is the logical choice. Therefore.
Yes.
And there's no humming and hawing about it. It's just the facts.
And then and it is one of my favorite lines from Schitt's Creek with the Oscar guy. He's like, I like the wine, not the label.
Yes.
Like, yes, that is the perfect explanation.
100%. Schitt's Creek was a journey
Yes.
and a half.
Yes. I started it, stopped like 2 episodes in because I was not in the right headspace. Like, I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't it.
It was really cringy right off
And
the
it was
hop.
like-
It took a little while.
Yeah, and then it was like, no, stick through it. Let's try it. Oh, this is good.
Have you seen Kim's Convenience?
Yes.
Yes. It's got David, you looked confused there for a second. It's got what's his name? He was Shang-Chi. Simu.
Oh yeah.
Liu?
What's his
Yeah.
name? Yeah, Simu Liu. Yeah.
As well as just a bunch of like famous Asian Canadian actors that just like they'll drop in and they're just like buying soda and stuff and having a skit, a conversation. It's a really, really good time.
Okay. I had to pick these up because these were on the floor, and I'm like, I will forget. I will step on them. There will be a horrible sound in everyone's ears when I yelp. So now
Love it.
all the ones on the floor have been picked up. I'm gonna stop now.
Adulthood is stepping on a Lego and understanding why your parents were so mad.
Yes. As a parent, I feel that in my bones and the bottoms of my feet
Yeah.
at this point. I've been giving my oldest dice and they are everywhere. I stepped on a
not a
caltrop the other day.
D4. Oh no!
The most terrifying thing
Yeah.
is losing a D4. It is.
Yep. It's the
Nothing is worse. Someone did a mock-up of a D4 pierced through a Lego.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah,
that's a
Nightmare
war crime.
fuel.
Mm-mm.
Yep. 100%.
No.
But to the point of editing, thankfully I don't have a whole lot of editing to do because for the past month and a half we've been doing exclusively like pickup games for fundraising. So I do a pitch and we're going to run this and we're going to feature a bunch of different creators, and it exists on the internet, but I'm never going to go and edit it down and put it on a podcasting medium or anything like that, because for the uninitiated, if you live in Canada, you don't earn any money from that kind of stuff. Spotify won't pay you. TikTok won't pay you. It's kind of a bad rap. They're like, you have polar bears and snow. You're fine. You don't need money.
It is.
Have exposure instead.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
You know what? I'm gonna backtrack that. You have polar bears and snow. Die of exposure instead.
You got bird of beef.
We do.
And you got maple syrup cartels.
Yep, we most certainly do.
And
it's a good time.
And we just had a discussion how David and multiple other people have never had poutine.
Yeah. I mean, all right. Hot take.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Like,
yeah. Here we go.
Look, poutine's pretty good. It's pretty good. It is far from the best like Canadian thing that you will ever eat. Like it's hard to go wrong with melted cheese on anything as a standoff. Yep. French fries are pretty good. Melted cheese on French fries, pretty good. Put some gravy on top. All right, yeah, like you have French fries and gravy. It's just, it melts. It's really, really good. Cheese curds, squeaky cheese.
Good. I mean,
those squeaky cheese are better for just snacking on. And I mean,
like outside of the downfall of Timmy Ho's, what is the best Canadian food?
Well, like Tim Hortons wasn't good food to begin with, but
I know
once
but
Burger King bought them, it was
yeah. That was the death knell. Yeah,
it's interesting because if you liked Tim Hortons coffee over a decade ago, you can now go to McDonald's and get it there because so I work in data analytics as my day job, and statistics and analytics fascinate me in trends. And Tim Hortons
that job.
Oh, and the neurospicy. Oh.
Yeah, I was about to say. I was like, what was your diagnosis? That doesn't make sense at all.
Not at all. No. So Tim Hortons specifically changed their coffee blend after looking at their data and saying, like, 80% of the people that we sell coffee to get a double, 2 cream, 2 sugar. So we're going to buy the coffee that tastes the best when mixed in that combination to maximize profit and value to our beloved customers. Jeez. And McDonald's is like, the majority of people that buy coffee from McDonald's drink it black. So we want to find the best black coffee possible. And so they basically switched distributors for it. It's an interesting tidbit.
I am so much more pleased with that now. Because
who did we just have this conversation with? We just had this talk about where to get Tim Hortons coffee now with someone.
Crail, Robin.
Robin, yes. Okay. I'm like, we just had this talk. Who was it with? It's not Piper.
Yeah, it wasn't Piper. Usually when I think Canada, I think Piper, but
I'm in your brain hearing your thoughts. It's all good. But no, we the best, if you think Canadian food, there's a couple of things that come to mind. And none of them are good for you. Like, at any point, if somebody's like, "Are you going to have
American
some
this whole time?"
I'm from a place where Frito chili pie is our staple.
You ever heard of
along
a butter
with
tart?
ding dongs and ho hos and deep fried Twinkies?
We have those here too. Nanaimo bars. You ever had a Nanaimo bar?
Nope.
It's layers of chocolate with custard inside that are frozen. And nougat, depending on who makes it. Flapper pie, which is like a graham cracker crust with vanilla custard inside. And then if you're in America, they kind of make it with like stiff peaks and meringue on top, or like a graham cracker filling, and then butterscotch. It's a good time. Or butter tarts. Butter tarts are the like Canadian staple for everything, which are just like, it's kind of like a pecan tart,
Mm.
that is just made of. It's made of diabetes. It's
Excuse
diabetes
me.
in a little tin.
You have pecans in Canada?
We
Now,
do.
this is a joke point, at least a little bit pointed at Kay,
He's
because
coming for me. This is an
I
attack
was
on me.
I was expecting y'all to have pecans in Canada, but no, you have pecans, and I am very impressed.
You understand that the other language in Canada is French, right?
That
That's
answers
and what
every
that's why the
question.
Southern United States says it correctly.
Yep.
Treacle sponge
Ye-
pudding, sponge cake with oodles of golden syrup. Apparently, it'll break the chart if you have a blood test within 24 hours of eating.
Yes,
says the
it
working writer.
it most certainly will. And of
hello.
course, the Monte Cristo, which is not sweet in any way, shape, or form. And I don't know who in the America came up with the idea of putting powdered sugar and strawberries on a goddamn sandwich, but I'm coming for you.
Look,
Well,
if you think your back is big enough, wait until an American gets a hold of it.
there's that.
I would formally like to invite you down to a Texas State Fair so that you can try some deep fried beer.
I'd be down for that. It's a good time. I would invite you up here for some bannock and some moose barley stew, which are like some of our most common things that we eat around here. But
so my family is actually from Canada, and in fact, we're from the Purcell Mountain Range. Imagine that with my name. And so when we went and kind of did a road tour of parts of Canada, obviously not all of it, but we went up into the Purcell Mountains, and it was like the Southern hospitality of like, oh, you're Purcells, huh? Here you go.
I'm literally going to Golden next week to go camping in the Purcell Mountains because it's a couple hours from where I'm at. It's also a couple hours from where I grew up in a small mining town full of rednecks.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that is every small mining town. Every single small mining town I've ever heard of. And
DC says he eats pecans. He could never eat pecans.
Same.
Pecans are for emptying your bladder in the middle of the night.
Yes.
Maple roasted nuts on top of pecan pie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because like I was born in Texas, I live in LA, but all of my family is from Louisiana, and my family, like me particularly, like if Romeo and Juliet had a kid, that would be me because my mother is Creole and my dad is Cajun, and Creoles and Cajuns don't mix. They don't. The enmity goes back to the beginning of the Louisiana Purchase. So I was like 12 or 13 before I realized my dad spoke French.
Yeah.
And the reason my dad took French in high school is so that he wouldn't have to study or do any work in that class.
That's fair.
That's amazing.
So
you grew up eating like beignets and
what's funny is that so like LA is a very weird town where there are a bunch of like enclaves of different, and everybody knows about like Chinatown and like Arcadia and all the Chinese people who are there. Everybody knows about Little Tokyo and like all the Japanese. Everybody knows about Koreatown and Korea barbecue and all that. But people kind of like they know there are a lot of black people in LA, but they don't understand where they came from. Most of the black people in Southern LA are from New Orleans and the surrounding area. Like you don't have a lot of people from Georgia. You don't have a lot of people from Mississippi. You don't have people from like Detroit or Chicago. It's all like New Orleans, Louisiana, Bayou people that came out.
Is that a reasonably new thing with what happened with New Orleans? Like,
no,
it was a while ago now, I guess.
That dates back to when towards the in the middle of and then like the tail end of the civil rights movement. Because politically speaking, Louisiana is a hellhole for a lot of reasons.
My
the
neighbors.
Yeah, the Watson Compton area had been developed,
Mhm.
and then you also had a growing black middle class, and so they were moving into those developments, which is why now Watts, Compton, and like the areas north of there, like Inglewood and South LA, are now traditionally like black neighborhoods, is
Mhm.
because back in the late 60s, early 70s, black middle class families came out and bought houses in those developments.
Gotcha.
But specifically out of New Orleans and Baton Rouge and the major cities in Louisiana. So I grew up eating a lot of Creole food because my mom was the one who cooked.
Yeah.
But there are a couple of like staples that my mom just never made for a
Mhm.
lot of reasons. One, convenience. Two, she didn't like them. Like my dad doesn't eat chitlins, so I never had chitlins growing up.
Yeah.
And
I didn't have chitlins until I was an adult.
right, and like now, if a plate, if somebody's like, "Hey, try this," and I'm like, "Is it chitlins?" and they're like, "Yeah, it's chitlins," I'd be like, "No, thank you." I look at them and I'm like, we could eat the rest of the pig now. They let us now, like we're allowed. But like beignets, boudin, and like a couple of other like very like hyper region specific things.
Mhm.
I didn't grow up eating. Now, obviously, I've had them,
Yeah.
but like I never got out of bed on a Sunday morning and my mom was making beignets.
Yeah.
But the coffee that is famous for going with beignets
Mhm.
was what my house smelled like for the first 20 years of my life.
What is it? Lavazza? Because
So
that's what they serve at Tallulah's, which is our like local Louisiana restaurant out in Banff here. It's
So the most famous that you'll find in, especially like on Bourbon Street, is Cafe Du Monde,
Mhm.
which is a great coffee.
Mhm.
Except the second most popular is this red can called French Market, and like just like the Cafe Du Monde, it's chicory and coffee mixed. But
Yeah.
it's a little less popular, and that's what my parents drink. And like I'm not a coffee drinker, but to this day, if you like stumble around like my room and you're like, "Oh, do you have like 50 cents? I need quarters. I need coins." Then there is
Coffee
a
cans.
red French Market coffee can full of coins. And actually I have a coffee can full of dice that I need to unpack. But other people put
Look,
them in bags. I got them in my coffee can.
yeah, coffee cans are fine. I put mine in a TARDIS. It's a good time. We
You put it in there because it's so economical on storage. It's bigger on the inside.
exactly. No, we I think one of my favorite Creole dishes that I've ever I think everybody's had a jambalaya or a gumbo at this point if you have taste buds and appreciate using them.
Mhm.
But there was this like a crawdad étouffe.
Yep.
And it's I think y'all call them like crawfish or crayfish, not crawdads.
I'm sorry, my people call them crawdads.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, they're
Now,
crawdads.
now, in the Northeast, they call them crayfish, but I
Yeah.
ain't never eaten a crayfish. I've
Yeah,
only had crawdads.
It's also not a coyote; it's a coyote.
Right.
Like there's difference, but no,
It's like the difference between naked and naked.
yeah. You know what? Both of those words are correct because they represent two very different states of dress.
Yes.
Yeah,
you
there's
can
being
be
naked and there's nude.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very
There's
Well,
different.
being
you could-
naked, and then there's naked because you up
Yeah.
to something if you naked.
exactly. If you're changing your clothes, you might be naked. If you're skinny dipping, you're naked.
Yep.
It's how she goes.
If you've got socks, boots, and a cowboy hat on and a shotgun, you're naked.
I ran a marathon looking like that once. We in Calgary, there's an
I
event
need
called
a broke David counter because it doesn't happen that often, but when it does, like confetti needs to go off.
I specifically will not dig up a picture for this, but it exists in the Calgary Sun. There's an event called the Underwear Affair, which is a marathon that goes to men's health for testicular cancer and colon cancer and such. And I bought a brand new pair of cowboy boots, and I wore them for one day, and I'm like, that'll do, because I was stupid. So I wore a brand new pair of cowboy boots to run a marathon, which is stupid. A Speedo that has a sheriff's badge on the butt and 2 little pistols on the front that says the sheriff, a bandana, a cowboy hat, and a pair of like aviator sunglasses. And by the end of the day, content warning, I limped back to my truck. I took the boots off and I dumped them out. And now those boots fit better than any shoe I've ever worn because they've been molded through blood and sweat to my feet. Mm-hmm. And like cowboy boots should be. But yeah, no, I did, what is it?
You had the ballerina feet after you were done.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's 26 miles for a marathon. I don't know Imperial very well, but yeah. So more than that in kilometers.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But this has been delightful. I do want to make sure we focus on some of the other cool stuff that you do besides running marathons in Speedos and cowboy boots, which, yes, the best time into Limea. Just the absolute best timing to join us. I love this show for this exact reason. Like, if everything was always purely professional, we'd be so bored, David. What would we be doing with our lives?
You just wait until we're all drinking whiskey together on Roll for Beer. Yeah, at some time, at a podcast near you, because it's going to be a good time. My co-host is a French pastry chef and is going to gush over David.
Oh, David has opinions about pastries.
I can only imagine.
I have opinions about European food. No, I have opinions about Europeans who come here to the fat capital of the world, where we put French fries and everything, and then they're surprised that the food is good.
No, it's full of grease, and that's where all the flavor is.
Yeah, and Great Britain went all around the world stealing all them goddamn spices, came back home, didn't use not nary one of them.
No, they're for putting on the shelf in little tin boxes that say the name of the spice for 80 years to give to your grandchildren when you die.
That have lost all of their flavor, because y'all, spices expire.
They most certainly do.
They stop tasting like they...
If you open them and they don't punch you, throw it away, buy a new one.
Very, very slight. I play, it's no longer a streamed game, it's now a home game, but I play a cowpoke, a non-binary cowpoke in a horror game, who is just the goodest, most clueless person.
Is your cowfolk like a minotaur named Miranda?
No, this is an all human world.
Okay.
And they're kind of a cop. They're like, it's like a sheriff. It's like it's a Victorian. Yeah, it's like a Victorian steampunk setting.
Nice.
And so I'm kind of like the sheriff, like wander around, handle stuff with their partner. And they're like my nod to all of the people who would have been great people had they ever set like 1 foot out of that small town at a formidable age. You know, like just, and you know, they're just, but this is what will break David. They are such a nod to, you know, they are a good person, but small-minded, don't always understand, are willing to learn, but, you know, have assumptions. But they eat like all the people that I grew up with in small-town Texas and small-town Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So they have a full glass of milk with every meal. And fresh cracked black pepper is too spicy.
Yeah.
And this is literally, it is a quote from a person I know who was like, do you have hot sauce? Do you have chili powder? They're like, no, I have paprika. That's kind of spicy.
I make paprika every year from my garden. And paprika does have some kick to it if you've never tasted food before.
He says as he throws Carolina Reapers into grain alcohol.
Into Everclear.
Yeah. quick aside. So my loving wife was raised in a traditionally Catholic Germanic household. So everything is cooked until it begs for mercy and then boiled some more. And I made her roast like early into our relationship, and she's like, I don't like roast. I'm like, I shot a moose. You're gonna eat this. Like, and I made her a roast, and it was very tender. And I did it nice and slow, and she's like, this is amazing. And then I tried her mom's roast at a family dinner one time, and I'm like,
And almost broke up.
so I see that there are charcoal briquettes on my plate. Are we going to use them to cook the roast? Or
Right.
oh, that's, I see. I understand now. But
Yeah. The person whom the person who is a dear friend of mine, but is the person who we would, when I lived in LA, here's the thing, people in big cities don't know how to cook. So if you are Southern and you live in a big city, you can get all the favors in the world for just cooking. And people literally, it was like, you can make a steak. If we buy 3 steaks, X amount of broccoli, X number of potatoes, and bread and everything, if we just buy that, will you come over and make that a meal? And we'll open 2 bottles of wine and like that. Sure? Like, so the first time we did this, I sit down, I make steak, I do baked potato, it's this full spread. We've been having red wine, we're going. We sit down. He's nervous because he's from Oklahoma, right? So he's like, I hope this is good. This looks good. I hope it's good. And he took a bite of the steak, threw his cutlery down, and like bear hugged me. And I'm like, okay, I did good. Then I watched this man. We are on our second, there's 3 of us. We're on our second bottle of red wine. Pushes his red wine aside, pours a full glass of milk, drinks full glass of milk with the meal, then goes back to red wine.
like, I like milk. I like milk. Milk is good. Like, it's fine. What the fuck? We never established if I can swear on the podcast,
You
but I'm doing it.
absolutely can.
Look, I know. So this is how, and like everybody has a story about how either they grew up in a household that did something weird and they thought it was normal until or they went over to somebody's house and they're like, this is normal? This is normal for you? Because this is not normal. Growing up, my dad would go to the fridge with a glass, put ice cubes in a glass, open up the fridge, and pour milk on top of it. And at the ripe old age of like 4 years old, oh wow, I almost said it. No, at the ripe old age of like 4 years old, I'm looking at him and I'm like, paterfamilias, what in the absolute fuck? I beg your finest fucking pardon. What are you? Because not so like most of my people are lactose intolerant.
Okay.
And I'm angry about that because I was pressured into and forced to eat cereal for breakfast for the first like 5 years for the first like 10 years of my life. And so I'm at school in like the second period with my guts bubbling, can't focus. And I'm like, the hell? And then the school lunch, they give you a little brick of milk too. And so it just guts like until I was like 12 years old, I could be like, no, don't put any milk in me. It's just all guts bubbling the first 12 years. Anyway. But this man put ice cubes, and to this day, every person that I have met that puts ice cubes in their milk has been country as all get out. Like hunted rabbits somewhere. Like has slaughtered animals. Or has like been out somewhere in a field with a scythe, like collecting like wheat or corn or something, whatever people do on farms.
Yes, absolutely.
100% of ice in milk people are country as fuck.
My mother-in-law drinks her Bud Light into a glass full of ice cubes. It doesn't bother me because Bud Light isn't really beer.
So it's
fine.
It's water with water. That's fine.
It really can't hurt it.
It's not bad to have ice in your water. It's okay. But I understand.
Yeah.
I will say, like, and some people would say it's sacrilege. I developed a taste a couple of years ago for sangria.
Mhm.
And I put ice cubes in my sangria, which it's a very split, like down the middle
Yeah.
of like, no, it's just the fruit or nothing, or it's ice cubes and fruit with sangria,
Or you
Like-
freeze the fruit.
or you freeze the fruit.
Look, we all can enjoy things that are not good. We could, like, there's a difference between this is bad and I don't like this. And we all
Yes.
need to accept that more. And there's a difference between this is good and I just like this. There's some stuff that is garbage. I would never tell anyone else to watch it unless I'm trying to torture them.
Is it called American politics? Because y'all, are you okay?
No,
No.
we are not okay. We are
Okay.
not
Thank you.
okay. It is all bad. It is all terrible. And the worst part is there's so much other stuff going on wrong with the country before that I'm like, I don't
We
even
don't have room for this.
I can't look at this right now. Like I feel it. I feel the heat and I'm building to it, but I can't. If I don't look at it, then I can't.
Allow me to distract you from it, because our current premier, which you could call like a governor or a senator or whatever for American terms, looked at Ron DeSantis of Florida and was like, that's who we should model our government after. And we're going to get him and Jordan
Is everybody
Peterson.
gonna walk around in heels? Which,
I love it.
listen, let's make that a requirement.
Yeah,
If you
I'm
can't
down.
dash 100 yards in heels, then I don't want to vote for you.
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Yeah.
But it's kind of bad everywhere. And it's one of the reasons that we all put the effort and the time that we do into building up our communities and making things better. Like David and I were talking, I think you had stepped away for a little
I
bit.
can always hear.
or-
I hear
Yeah.
everything.
One of the things that I've done, because I'm a musician, but when we had kids, I stopped playing on stage a lot because, everything
Kids.
takes a little time.
Because you can't be out at 3:00 in the morning when you got a newborn at home.
And it's also not fair to a partner to be like, oh, it's like a Friday morning, and I'm like, suddenly I've got a gig tonight. I'll be at a bar until 1 a.m. Mind the kids. Kid, thanks, bye. Like occasionally with enough notice, that sort of thing's okay,
Mhm.
but not down for that life. So, but I find old acoustic guitars and old electric guitars or just stuff on Marketplace, and I fix them up and I donate them to. We got a place here in town that like a school of rock, because that's how you support your community and your local music scene, is you make more musicians
Yes.
to go and play. Because I can't be out listening to local musicians every couple of nights of the week anymore, because I got babies.
Yeah.
They're not babies anymore. They can walk and ask for their own yogurts.
They will always be babies.
Yeah, well, yeah.
They will
yeah.
be 45 years old drinking beer with you, and they will still be babies.
I mean, they kind of classify as a pain in the ass at this point,
Mm.
but
That also will never change.
That also won't change. Yeah.
yeah,
When is that?
exactly.
But no, we
But-
that's part of the reason we were so excited to have you on, is that obviously it's a different kind of, but a big thing that Dave and I do is safety and education and
Mhm.
how can people get into doing TTRPGs, and how can people, and I'm gonna sit down with Mimics and Misfits. Matt was just saying I use 6 programs to make my clips and my videos, and I'm like, oh no, let's find time. I'm gonna walk you
We're
through-
gonna
'cause
seminar.
one of the things that's been on my mind is I know how to do edits and stuff really quick and well in DaVinci Resolve. I need to make a video of this. So sitting down and walking Matt through it is going to be a great dry run for when I record that and turn it into a thing.
You know what I do? Because I do this professionally through Logomancy,
Mhm.
is I turn on recording through OBS and capture when I'm just editing, and I'll record for 3, 4, 5 hours at a time of everything that's on my screen.
Mhm.
And then I'll go back and be like, cut.
Yeah.
I have a story for you in that vein. So we Logomancy, aside from looking after Make-A-Wish International's TTRPG stuff, we also run a bunch of different workshops, mostly for local companies or local individuals. So we run a couple of things because education is super important. One is it's called Be Who You Want to Be, and it's a community events where we work with a local charity organization. They have an at-risk youth program, so we get queer kids coming in, and they can be around other people that aren't going to give them crap for being who they are, and explore through role playing and TTRPGs, which is necessary because that's how it worked for the rest of us. And kids need the same opportunities that we all got.
Yes.
But we also run workshops through our local libraries. So I run two things: introduction to streaming, where we sit down. I think the last time we had like 20 or 30 kids and their moms, almost exclusively moms or retirees, come in and be like, how do I stream? Because I've got nothing to do now, which is dope. That's super dope. And it's like, if you want to think you're going to make money just by hitting live and going, guess what? It's a percentage of a percentage. We talked about analytics before, of people actually make more than minimum wage doing this. You're not going to pay your rent as a streamer unless you have more a higher likelihood of winning the lottery buying tickets every day than you do of actually getting into that space. So here's how you can actually like build out your model. You build your community, you focus on the talents that you do have, and you try and, market some of those things. I'm an audio guy, so a lot of what we do for Logomancy is everything that we have in our city is geared towards enterprise level stuff. Your company wants to have a podcast for your Ford dealership. Cool. Here's like $30,000 and we'll set you. No, people don't need that shit. My success story of the past 2 months is that these two ladies came to a podcasting workshop and they wanted to talk about knitting on streams and YouTube videos. And I bill hourly for it. I sat down. I'm like, all right, what do you want to do? Here's a couple of ideas. We set them up with a few like 5-fine AM8s, like the little dynamic mics, like one over there. I'm like, do you want your face on the internet? No, I don't think so. And I'm like, so what are you thinking? Well, I just want to demonstrate some of these cross stitches and some knitting technique. And I'm like, all right. So we set them up with a little newer, like above camera thing that unboxers use. They're very inexpensive. They've got a Logitech webcam that points down at a card table that one of them had. And they've got 2 teacups, and it's just their 2 hands, and they just talk and they demonstrate knitting. And they're like, I hope that they make the jump into actually recording it and doing it on a regular basis, because they haven't yet, or I would share their channel. But that kind of stuff, it emboldens your community, and it doesn't take a lot to demystify things.
Also, I would love to have a little window into a Stitch and Bitch club like that. The TV, oh my God, it'd be so good. Tell them to keep up their good work, because I'm here for it.
I'm just gonna keep messaging and being like, hey, do you need anything? Do you need help? Like, when's it time? Like, But it equates out to being a parent too, because nothing changes your identity more than, there's no fandom that will change your identity more than becoming a parent. Because my job is to essentially empower these little creatures, these crotch goblins, and make sure that their toolbox is full. It's not to tell them what to think, it's to demystify everything. I never want my daughters to look at a thing and say, well, I can't do that. Not because I'm a girl, or not because I'm like X, Y, or Z. It's because, yes, you can. You have YouTube.
You can learn
think of it this way. The dumbest motherfucker that you went to high school with over there is able to hang drywall. And guess what? You can too.
Yeah.
Right?
And
you never want...
I was going to say, I'm going to embarrass Matt here, because it has meant so much to me. Matt and we were doing the show. We literally started doing this because it was like we got a break between God Playing and another thing we were doing. And it's like, we need to do, let's just talk about TTRPG stuff, and maybe bring on, we know some cool TTRPG people. Let's talk to them. And like, we literally thought it was going to be a couple months, and then we jump into the next thing. But we discovered, even with what felt to me like fairly basic knowledge. Now, of course, I come from video games entertainment background, so in retrospect, I have a lot of knowledge and skills that a lot of people don't, right? I had access to people who could give me advice. So we just started talking about even just recruiting. How do you get your tables more diverse? And a number of people reached out, but no one more so than Matt. And Matt has just been like, I changed my approach to filling my tables, and the difference has been incredible. And it's not like, I'm not going to say it's easy, because part of, especially if you are building diversifying your community, trust has to be built.
Yeah.
So it does take work, it does take time, and you can mess that up far more easily than a lot of people, I think, realize. But it's not, if you demystify it, it's like, this is the toolkit to make sure that people are safe and comfortable, and here's how to approach it. It's not easy, but it's not nearly as hard as people might think.
Well, and it's scalable too. Like I explained earlier how our green room process works and how our pitches work on our weekly channel. I actually talked to Matt recently too, for doing some playtesting, because our Monday games, we cycle through new games that are up and coming to try and playtest them.
Duality's awesome.
Duality is specifically the system that we're going to look at running. But it's scalable. So when we first got started streaming, history time, the first time that my face was ever on Twitch, it was 271,000 people watching at the same time on the front page. Make-A-Wish had I didn't know that because I couldn't see past the control room. I was in person. So Make-A-Wish International reached out, Twitch Calgary and Twitch Vancouver and stuff, as communities, had been given a budget to do some charity work. And they said, we're going to rent a TV studio. We're going to have, a dozen players or so. And they did the whole shebang. Everybody's got shotguns in their face and shotgun microphones.
Yes.
This is
Good
rural
specification
Alberta.
after all the redneck talk.
Yeah. Shotgun mics. And we did a 12-hour donation stream with donations affecting the game in real time. So I had a tablet just off my side, and I could see to improv and change things up. I run the largest Dungeons and Dragons community group in Calgary. So we got a couple thousand members, and a friend was involved and reached out and was like, hey, you want to do a thing for charity? I'm like, fuck yeah, let's give it a go. So we did that, and we raised a boatload of money. And I had hundreds and hundreds of people reach out on Twitter, and and it is still Twitter, because you don't abandon that kind of app recognition and brand recognition.
You've got brand beer. Why are you calling it something else?
Exactly. Being like, where can I buy this adventure? And I'm like, oh, this was fart jokes and like movie tropes, and like, but maybe we should start something. So my friends and I founded Logomancy Inc. And we started doing Roll for Wishes in the same vein as that original fundraiser, which wasn't called Roll for Wishes. It was called Deliver the Dawn. And it was 12 hours. And every 3 hours, we changed up who was sitting at the table for everybody but me getting a break. And they're all 12
Everyone
hours.
Everyone who needed a break got one.
Exactly. I needed no breaks. What Roll for Wishes evolved from was that, where we do a live presentation for a marathon game, and it'd go for 9 hours or 12 hours, and donations come in real time, and either players get bonus dice or trolls can donate dice to me as the DM to crush the players, and you split the audience where half of them are donating to me in small increments and half of them are donating to the players, and they're just raising money for children. That's the important part. Last year, we got so Sarah Roberts, the Hype Goblin, Lydia Corinne, who you've probably seen on TikTok. She does amazing TikTok work. Scarlet64, who's a pretty recognizable Twitch streamer and TikToker. And then my buddy Chris, who's Treant Monk from Treant Monk's Temple. If you've ever, if you exist in optimizer circles, you know who Chris is. And we did a 9-hour marathon, and it's a lot of fun, but it's not enough. So this year, all of October, taking the lessons that we learned from our regular green room process and from the work that we did fundraising for a Trans Empowerment Project, we're going to be starting a temporary Discord, because everybody needs a new Discord like they need a hole in the head.
Yup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna get started in September, getting all the planning out of the way with a big shared Google Calendar. I've got about 80 creators signed up so far to come in, and I'll share the link in the Chaotic Wholesome Presents Discord as well.
Please do. And we will
for
retweet it when you put it out.
For anybody that wants to sign up. I haven't technically announced it before here, so but essentially what we're going to do is we're going to bring in a bunch of different creators. We have a bunch of different industry sponsors that are coming in from publishers and a couple electronics folks that I have to sign paperwork for before I can name them, to come in, and I might be able to pay people to help do the things that they do, which is super rare in the industry that we're in, to be like, and it's not a lot, but I can at least be like, hey, I need an artist that has a reasonably quick turnaround, that lurks on this Discord, that can make a bunch of like going live cards that I can dump headshots into, right? Things of that nature, or event organizers that can jump in and like, plan games. And the hope is that, Kate, if you're on and you say, hey, I want to run a bunch of thirsty sword lesbians, and here's the premise, I'm looking for a couple of people, they sign up, and maybe you get people that you've never played with before. Maybe you get people that you've always played with before. Either works, but we're all working together. And then we smash our mutual followings together and make a super following that will crush the resistance. I mean,
but yes, Matt says being able to pay folks is honestly so wonderful. We did a game where I was able to, not a lot, but pay everyone at the table. And I found out one of my friends who is an incredible performer, who I've learned so much from. And they were like, this is the first time I've been paid for TTR. And I'm like, what? You are... It's incredible. Also, like, the chat is full. Like, DC Lacer, producer of the stars, just said, ooh. So I feel like you should... Candace says, need a player, GM, or designer. Candace knows.
All of
Candace
those.
has. Like, there are
100%.
people here who are the only... I'm going to be moving in September or October.
Mm-hmm.
So
well,
I may not be able to be part of this, but I can help in setup.
Hype is important.
Hype is so important.
Planning is important. Making sure that everybody feels supported. A big thing that came out of the TEP fundraiser was, I've got a lot of good ideas and I really want to run games, but I don't have my own channel. And it's like, cool, you're hosting on my channel now. I will run all the production. I will do all the sound checks. Welcome to my home.
That is how we did Body and Soul. Q was like, I've got this really cool story. I don't know how I can't. And we're like, come on, we got you.
I don't know if this is going to work for pasting a link in your chat or not.
If it doesn't, send it to me and I will paste it.
Yeah, it seems to have gone.
Nope. It's stars for us. So
blurg.
Throw it to me. I will paste
I'll throw it in the chat
because it's not even giving me the option to.
Oop.
That's all good. There's an intake sheet that we have there. If you fill it out, sometime around August, end of August, I'll send you an email or a message on Discord, because we asked for both with it, and invite you into the Discord channel for it to start planning. So, general gist is going to be a big shared Google Calendar that not only will we put the charity games, but your own games as well, or your own productions, so we can all raid into each other and make one massive Katamari ball of TTRPG love.
Yeah. And
help each other out. So the goal this year is $50,000 through the whole month for kids with life debilitating diseases around the world. And it's a global thing. It's not just a US or a Canada thing. So if you find yourself in Britain, and you really want to make sure that the stuff that you're fundraising under your team is going to folks in your area, you can specify that with your team, which is one of the really dope things about working with Make-A-Wish is you can get help where it's needed. So yeah. Awesome. And then I'm just being mindful of the clock. And we talked about roll for beer as well.
Yes.
And like I said, for folks in chat, that's maybe where you recognize my shiny ass head. Every 2 to 3 weeks, we sit down, myself and my co-host Allison, and we roll for beer. And the premise for that is it's a little bit ASMR, and it's a little bit world building, and it's a little bit of like social justice, and it's a little bit of like thinking over a beer. We roll a die, and whatever we roll is what we're drinking that night. Roll the dice into a glass, into the microphone, crack the beer into the microphone, try not to get it on your pants, kind of thing. If you want to check it out, we've got Ellipses Stevens coming on the podcast this coming Friday, who, for the uninitiated, is the author of the Aurora award-winning author of the webcomic Goblins Life Through Their Eyes, which if you exist in the queer TTRPG space, you've probably heard of it because it's been mecca for most of us for the past 20 years, and it's still going. Ellipses is a trans individual that transitioned partway through the run of the webcomic, and on a reread, I'm like, oh, there are a lot of themes here that I don't understand because I started reading it as a child, and it's a thing. Well,
like
I say child, but like teenager.
All the people going, X-Men's woke now. It's like,
did you not understand? Fuck.
Like, have you not been paying attention from day one?
Star Wars is so woke now.
Yeah. Although I did see a thing that I had to chuckle at, and it's like the first thing that the Empire did was eradicate people of color, so everybody just looks like everybody looks whitewashed in the prequels.
Yep.
But,
and people who wear the Empire Did Nothing Wrong shirts unironically.
Yep.
And I have a lot to say about Star Wars, but I have more to say about the fandom than I do about the property. And, and we'll start there.
Don't listen to people on the internet that love things. Like it's a bad time.
Love and hate run in, like, they're both the back end of that circle, and they can move one to the other. But my absolute favorite, and I swear we'll get off of this, Star Trek plus X-Men built on diversity from before day one. Exactly.
Absolutely, 100%.
My favorite comment was someone was talking about, like, you know that Star Wars is just like all about the Vietnam War, right? That's what it's about. And some blue check mark, because of course it was a blue check mark, some blue check mark is like, no, Star Wars is not about that unless the Empire is America.
It's like, ooh, you're so close to the point. You're so close. Just reach out and touch it, my guy.
You're just right there.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Friday, I'm just gonna like fan myself a little bit because one of my heroes is coming on and drinking beer with us.
Ooh.
And I'm gonna see if I can convince her to design me some commission art for a tattoo at some point, because I'm down for that. I need me some big ears in my life.
We have a lot of tattoo fiends hanging out here. I
would be at risk of Twitch TOS if I showed some of mine, because they're all like just around. But yeah, I'm an aficionado as well.
Everyone assumes, they're like, oh, you got the hair, you got the attitude, show me your tattoo. I'm like, I don't. I'm too Gemini.
We are both filthy plainskins, but I will say that I am excited to see your Patrick Star tattoo around your Patrick Star. I know you got it down there, and I can't wait.
I missed SpongeBob as like a cultural thing.
Same.
I came about a little too early for that to be in my like zeitgeist, but you know, it's all good. I appreciate it for what it is. I enjoy the Meat Canyon comics that he does about them too. So, but that said, we should get you guys on Roll for Beer at some point, and certainly get you slinging some dice for Roll for Wishes or before, because I mean, you know, we gotta practice.
Yeah.
I know it's,
you don't yet know what a chaos gremlin I can be.
Well, I mean, I have my own chaos gremlins, so I understand a little bit.
See, the problem with the broke David command is that I generally break David when I'm playing
Oh
and he's
no.
not on screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Last charity game I played in, I brought in my
Mhm.
T-Fork, who's like, "Hey, what's up? My name is Brandon, but you can call me Brandon."
Yeah.
And David died.
Dark
I almost
Brandon.
fell out of my goddamn chair.
Yeah, so beyond podcast stuff, I'm gonna be flying to Indianapolis at the end of July. I'm gonna be promoting Roll for Wishes with the folks that are around. You can see me on stage playing with the folks from ADH Adventures
Oh,
and the Pocket Dragon Pub. We're doing Witch of the Canopy Depths. So if you're one of the people that is choosing to go to Gen Con this year, come hang out and we'll hang out. It'll be a good time. We're going to do some karaoke. We're going to raise some money for charity.
Kate's favorite.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
That's look. I take shots at Kay all the time. The only thing, the only thing that Kay hates worse than Ted Cruz is karaoke.
Well, I mean, I understand the first, but like, there's a time and a place for karaoke, and the
It
place
is
for
nowhere
it,
near
You barked up the wrong tree. I agree.
the place for it is when everyone within earshot has had this much tequila.
I have been at karaoke having had that much tequila, and it was still not enough.
Okay.
It is just not for me.
So
I
edibles
hate
for you
popular
then.
music. I hate popular music. I hate bad singing. I don't that kind of I don't know.
The entire
there's no
vibe.
appeal to it. There is
That's fair.
nothing about it that I enjoy. I am so happy for other people to go out and do. Okay, here's the
So
story. y'all.
loops for you.
If you can't tell from my background, I fell off the wagon at campaign 3, but I love Critical Role. Campaign 2, the Mighty Nine is what got me through the pandemic.
Yes.
My bestie here in New York is like spam calling me while I've got my phone on Do Not Disturb because it's 3 a.m. on whatever night, and the cast of Critical Role are at the same karaoke bar that he is.
Mhm.
Drunk and singing, and he's like, "Kay, get out here." And I wake up to it and I'm like, "Oh," and he's like, "I'm so sorry, I tried." And I'm like, No, don't feel bad. And he's like, "No, I would." And I'm like, "Look, even if I had gone and met them, I would have met them at karaoke."
I see how it is.
Like, it's that level of bad. Like, I don't
That's fair.
want the karaoke in that memory.
So loop headphones or loop earplugs are your best friend. They make them for people who have partners who snore, and they make them for people that have children. So you can just be like, "Oh, this is really loud right now," and just turn down your earbud so you can still hear your kids in case something's happening. But you can also just do the dishes in some goddamn peace, and or just have a quiet conversation with the person across from you at a bar and drown out the din.
When
Best,
I had
like,
my
60.
niece and nephew,
Mhm.
For a lot of different reasons, there are some developmental issues and stuff that has worked out since. But there was a stretch where my niece cried for 12 hours at a time.
Mhm.
Like
That happens,
and
yes.
we're talking, and we're not talking like an infant. We're talking like a 4-year-old.
Yep.
12 out to the point whereby I was on a first name basis with the CPS officer and with multiple cops in the area. And let's not even get started about how much I do not like the Los Angeles Police Department. But I was buds with a couple of them because they were at my house so goddamn much. Because the neighbors were like, they have to be like electrocuting this child for 18 hours a day.
Yeah.
And if I could have had those, if I could have just been like, whoop, I would be, to this day, I'd be in a better place. But
As somebody who gets overly stimulated, both
Right.
between myself and my partner, it's like, I'm gonna go get groceries now and like take the cars and or the keys and leave, because it's a half an hour of just like not.
Definitely.
Or I'm gonna do the dishes on go the headphones to just like listen in peace to nothing and like be blissful. It's like that scene in Spider-Man where Stan Lee's like cleaning the library and they're just trashing everything above.
Yep.
That's
he's
being a parent to a 4-year-old. Yes.
Ilaria, so there's love for the loop earphones exploding in chat, and Ilaria is like, "Are those the real thing? I've
Yes.
seen them, but I don't."
Yes,
I
they
don't know
are.
that I
They
trust
are
them."
very, very good. They're expensive earplugs. They really are. But they are game changing. My wife will not elbow me in the ribs every night anymore because she can't hear my snoring, and it is game changing.
Now,
Yeah,
you are a musician,
Mhm.
which means you can identify with going to karaoke with a bunch of musicians.
yes.
And
This is why I like karaoke.
I was fortunate because one of my like high school friends is a sound engineer, and then she's also like spun up a couple of bands, and then that led to freelance work, freelance copy work for me for said bands. And so I've been to a lot of like indie shows, a
Yeah.
lot of shows where it's like they managed to bring one person. But here's the thing, like you get those people together, people who can legitimately sing, and then you get the musical theater people who can also legitimately sing
Or backup dance.
right, and then you go to a karaoke bar. And so like there's a like not famous anymore, but at one point Dido showed up to a karaoke bar, she showed up to a karaoke bar in Burbank, nestled into where all of the musical theaters are. And I'm like, I've been to that bar, and on any night of the week, you could find 20 people who are like, if you can't sing, don't even go into the building.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they will let you in. And so I have been party to some of the like coolest like cover like impromptu cover bands because of musicians. Except they're all arrogant pricks. They take over the karaoke thing, and then no one else wants to get up and sing ever again.
And they take it entirely too seriously.
Yep.
Yeah. That's why I said like everybody needs to have had at least a little bit too much tequila, because even the people that like, you can be the best singer on the planet. If you're a little drunk, it's going to bring it down.
Yep.
Just enough. And that's
bring it down to
that's
human
good
levels.
That's good for the goose. Two tangents to that, and then I'll let you guys go. So if you ever get the opportunity, go do karaoke in like Cancun or Puerto Vallarta, because my God, people take karaoke serious business. Oh man, we were down for a friend's wedding, and I'm like, we're gonna go out for a bachelor party. And we went into town, and we found a karaoke bar, and we sang a couple of songs. And they kept buying us things, and the owner came and gave us t-shirts because we can sing in English and we can sing really well. And it's a thing, it's a party, it's a good time. Like by the end of the night, I left the bar with more money than I like went into it with. And it is a trip. It's a treat if you ever get the opportunity for it, like off resort. The other is, speaking of indie bands, my favorite band is I Fight Dragons. They're a little chiptune. They basically started chiptune around the time that Anamanaguchi did as a musical style. They're based out of Chicago. So they get on stage and it's like, I have a Nintendo Power Glove that's rigged up to a MIDI controller, and I'm going to play my song using these buttons and keypad. I performed an acoustic version of one of their songs for our first dance at our wedding. Like, favorite band. And last year for Roll for Wishes, I reached out to them because they got a Discord, and I'm like, hey, like the theme that I'm going for this game really fits with this album. Can I use it? They're like, fuck yeah. Do you want us to write some more for you?
Oh.
And I'm like,
Yes, absolutely.
I ended up using everything off the album because of like their timing and stuff. And not wanting to completely bother them all the time. But it's just like a meet your heroes. It's generally a good time.
Yes.
But despite advice to the contrary on the internet. But
I've had the extreme honor of meeting many of my heroes, and one of them was a jerk, and one of them just read me to filth. But in the grumpy old man way, which made it even more funny. Of like, oh.
I got dressed down by Megadeth once. That was a thing. It was at brunch. It was a thing. But they were playing and staying at the hotel that we were getting brunch at.
My headcanon was they were playing at brunch.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, everything about this. And then they stopped to insult somebody while they were eating eggs.
I mean, they did sing.
Yes.
They did sing, We went out for a friend's birthday, and they sang "Happy Birthday" when they brought her out a cupcake.
that's
Aw.
It was
nice.
kind of nice. But,
Yeah.
that said, it has been a lovely time, but I should let you go and snag my kiddos. Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
for having me. This is really fun.
Thank you. I see your podcast host kicking in here.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much. So remind us, like you've been talking about this, but give us just the quick TLDR. Where do we find you? And what do you do?
You can find me over on the Legends of Logomancy channel or at L Logomancy on the Bird app, where we run a bunch of TTRPGs. We showcase a bunch of new and different systems. We fundraise for a bunch of different organizations around the globe, and we drink a lot of beer. You can also find some of my musical stylings and things like that on our YouTube channel. I've done a lot of the intros and stuff for each of our games, as well as working with a couple other really, really talented folks that know significantly more than I do about any kind of audio production. And I feel it in my bones every time. But the next thing that we've got going this Friday is going to be Roll for Beer. That'll be on at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on the Logomancy channel. So drop it a follow if you haven't already, and we'll see you there.
Please do.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you so much for coming on. This has been a treat and a delight. And thank you for all you do, because spreading knowledge and spreading resources and enabling people to do the things that they want to do or hope to do or enjoy doing is a truly wonderful thing. David, who the heck is you and what the heck is we doing here?
Hi, I am never going to take Kay to karaoke because I value my life. And this is the Chaotic Wholesome Talk Table. This is the Table Talk Show, where every week we talk about TTRPG stuff, how to be a better player, how to be a better GM, how to annoy Kay, all with a focus on intersectionality and inclusivity so that everybody can have a good time.
And yes, you will not see us streaming on Thursday. However, we will be here Friday streaming Baldur's Gate, and that's going places. Gilmore says good night to you all. He requires attention, so this is where we are. Pride may be over, but we're queer all year. So be kind to yourself, be excellent to others. We'll see you next time. I think we're going to go over and see Xander.
Yep.
So talk to you all soon.
Queer all year.
Be queer, strike fear all year.
Hydrate or die straight.